Hey, so what's up, geeks? You know how much I love doing beginner videos. Not. So, in this video, we're going to cover the touchable opacity component. Now, there's a few beginner videos on YouTube that discuss, different components and how you use them. But the goal of this little series is basically to teach you guys how to use these things on a professional level. I'm not a big fan of creating beginner videos, but I understand that they're necessary, and since this is a React Native channel, why not do it? So first off, I'm going to go to React Native's website. This is the Facebook website that covers basically touchable opacity. If you take a look to the right, you can see all the props that come built in with the touchable opacity. Now, for the most part, the main props that you will use, and for some reason I'm not even seeing the other one, the main one, but it's the style prop and it's the on press prop. So those are the main properties that you're going to use when you're utilizing the touchable opacity component. I'm going to go back to the project and I'm going to go ahead and just import touchable opacity from React Native. And I'm also going to just import the text component because we're going to need that too. So underneath our image, I'm going to go ahead and just add that touchable opacity component. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and what are we going to name this? Let's just add our text component, and then I'm going to type in subscribe. So make sure if you're not subscribed to this channel that you go ahead and just do that. I want you to pause the video, and I don't want you to do anything until you subscribe. All right. So anyways, I'm going to actually add something to our style. So I'm going to go ahead and just add, we already have the button. So I'm going to have button text. And the color of our button text is going to be white. So there we go. I'm going to add that style just like that. Okay, cool. So I'm also going to, so right now, look, we have our button. If you click on it, you can see that that's how our button works. And just to give you guys to briefly cover touchable opacity a little bit more, touchable opacity basically turns anything on your screen into a button. That means that anything that the user presses, you can create some kind of functionality behind that. I can go ahead and apply touchable opacity to my image, put it in just like that, and now you see that you can press on the image. All right, so that's what touchable opacity is. Now this is the way you're going to use it on most applications. This is going to be your applications or any kind of application that you build for a company. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the button styles.button styling, and I'm going to give this button, as you see the background color, we already have that. I'm going to give it the width of 100%. Now you can see it's taken 100%. The reason is you see the space right here is because we have padding on our container. So we're also going to give our button align items with the value center, and justify content. That's going to be center as well. Okay, now we have our text in the middle of our button, and I'm going to go ahead and have border radius. This is going to basically round out our edges. I'm going to give it 15. Okay, that looks cool. Starting to look like a button. And now I'm going to give it some height. Now the height is going to be, let's just play around with it. 30, hell no. Hell no. Let's go with 80. 70. That's good enough. And I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit more border radius because I like the way that the smooth button look. So, alright, that's good enough for this video. So anyways, as you can see, we now have our button, and let's get our text. So let's increase our font size to, say, 32. It's a little too much, say 28. Cool. And our font weight, we're going to give that the styling of, let's put that bold. Subscribe. Now, we'll put that 400. All right, that works. Now, this is essentially how you use touchable opacity. Now, before we even go any further, I'm going to go ahead and just create a button component. So now within my source directory, I'm going to create a file titled button.js. All right, I'm going to name this component button. I'm going to go ahead and just copy what we have here, paste that in just like that. I'm going to add my style sheet. We're going to say const styles equals style sheet dot create. And now I'm going to pass in those styles from the button. Things are about to start getting really ugly. Yep. Add those styles in right there. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and add my button component that I just created. And I'm going to just add my button in right there. All right. So button. Cool. So now we're back in business. So I'm gonna go back to my button.js file. Now, the way you want to actually use touchable opacity and create a button component, there's a few props that you want to add that are essential to your component. Now, the first thing we're going to add is we're going to add our style. Now you can see we're already using our style. Now the reason we want to add an array of styles to this is because you want this button to be reusable throughout your application. You may have, let's just imagine that what we're looking at right now is the login screen. The login screen basically has a login button and it has a register button. And then let's say you have different parts of your application where you want people to actually submit information on the form. That form will have a button that the user needs to use to actually submit that form. So all of those different buttons throughout your application will have its own unique styling. So this is, by adding this style prop, that's going to basically make our button reusable. Now there's also another property that people don't use too much, and I hardly ever see any kind of teachers covering this property, and that's the rest property. Now, what this prop does is that instead of, you see right now we're referencing the style prop, and then we can go ahead and just add on press. Now, if we go back to React Native's that website, it can waste too much time passing this many props to our button component. So instead of doing that, we can go ahead and just apply this rest property, and our button component will inherit all the props that come along with touchable opacity. That's the best and smoothest way to do that. So right now what we have our button component. All right, we'll go ahead. There's one more thing I need to add, and that's our button, our label. All right. So we're going to go ahead and just add this label right here. Right now that's gone, so I'm going to have to go ahead and just add that label. And this is going to be subscribe. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I swear. So subscribe. Okay, cool. So we have our subscribe. Now, I'm actually going to update that because I want to cover a little bit of design change. So we're going to say this is login. This is our login screen. So log in, and then say we want to add another button to our screen. Well, I just said the user may need to register. They don't have login credentials. Now, let's go ahead and add our button again. And this is going to be register. We'll go ahead and silence my phone. Okay, so now we have two buttons. Now, let's go to our button component. I'm gonna go ahead and then with my button, I'm gonna add margin bottom of 20. Okay, cool, that looks way better. Now, this looks pretty ugly. Usually on that application that you see, the login button will be different from the color of the register button. Now remember, because we applied that style prop to our button, we can add some unique styles to our, basically to our button component. So I can go ahead and just add the background color of, let's just say green. I'm not gonna keep it green. But now you can see, now registration button is different color. I'm gonna go ahead and just Google a color and say light gray. Okay, CD, 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 that works. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add CD, CD, CD. Cool. Now there's one more thing I need to do to our button. Right now, our text is representing our button text color. We're going to go ahead and just add styles to that as well. So I'm going to say button. Well, let's say text style. We're going to pass that in. Now, I think this looks ugly, but the standard is that when you have more than 3 props, you're going to break it down just like this in functional component. So that's the current standard on how you're supposed to actually, oh, that's the prettier thing. Well, just to make, well, this is, like I said, this is the way you're supposed to do it. This is the standard, but for whatever reason, React Native comes in with some built-in ESLint, so I'm just gonna, just to avoid that, I'm gonna keep it like this. But anyways, now we have our text style. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna add my text style. I'm going to give it the color of black. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. All right, so now we have our login and our register button. So now our button has to actually do something. Now remember, because we use that spread, not that spread, the rest property, our button inherits on press. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do, when our button is pressed, we're going to get an alert. An alert message is going to say, subscribe. React Native comes on its own built-in alert, so I'm not completely sure what this will show, but okay, as you can see, the alert, it shows subscribe. Once you click on it, and it inherited that on press. Now, if I were to just go ahead and just remove this rest, nothing would happen. All right, now if I just added the on press, and then I added another on press prop. This is what I used to do when I was a beginner. And now our button is going to work again, as you can see. Now you don't want to do that. You'll save yourself time. Promise me. You're going to use this component on way throughout your application. So you want to just go ahead and just use that rest prop. All right, save yourself time. And look, now it's working. So I can go ahead and do the same thing for the register button, but you guys get the point. You want to create a, when you're using touchable opacity basically allows anything on your screen to become a button. Whenever a user presses on that, you can basically get that button to control some kind of functionality. Now the benefit of actually creating a button component is that it makes that button reusable within your application and you save time. All right, so hopefully that's clear. If there's anything else you guys want me to cover regarding this component or any other component that you're not sure of, just get at me. I have no problem helping you, and I'm going to continue to put together these beginner videos specifically for my beginners. Like, comment, subscribe, check me out on Instagram so I can become famous, and until next time, peace.